I'm really excited to show you our new F250. Now, it's been a little bit of a side project because obviously we prioritise our customers' builds over ours. So it's finally finished and I'm really excited to show you through the whole build. Let's have a walk through. So when the F-Truck first arrived to us, we quickly did some lift and wheels and tyres, some things to make it look cool while we're just driving it around. And then we got stuck into the build. So let's have a look back at some of the progress shots and then we'll dive into some of the more details on this vehicle. So it's pretty early stages on the F250 at the moment. Now, we've already done a couple of cool little things just to get this build moving while we're waiting for the canopy to be built. It's at the paint shop at the moment. So we've gone ahead and done some wider flares, a 3-inch suspension lift with a coilover conversion in the front. We've got some 37-inch Maxxis tyres with a 17-inch method rim on there. And last week we sent it down to the boys at G&L Performance, who have tuned the motor on this. Now this is a 6.7 litre turbo diesel V8. It came back with some really healthy numbers. So at the wheels, it's running 570 horsepower, 1410 newton meters. So this thing will certainly tow the van really well. Upcoming for this vehicle, like I said, we've got the canopy being built at the moment. So that should hopefully go on later this week. We've also got the brand new bull bar, which is a nice slimline bar with our ultravision lighting going through it. And then up on the roof rack, we're going to do some ultravision lights as well. Inside the canopy is really where we're going to set some magic on there. We've got the tactical tourer side of us, which is going to do a full off-grid electrical system. So it'll be a large lithium unit in there, plus all of our normal canopy fit out and that sort of thing. So we'll show you how the whole thing comes together. Hey guys, so an update on the truck. Last week it got the canopy put on the back and at the moment it's sitting on the hoist behind me, ready to get the bull bar fitted. We've got a Warn winch sitting there. We've got all the ultravision lights that are going in the bull bar and also up on the roof rack to go on today as well. Now, we also got some LED headlight replacements out of the States, so they'll be going on. They look pretty cool and let's get into it. So these are a full LED replacement headlight with the DRL running lights in them as well. So you can see we've got a massive difference here, big upgrade. And then on the front of the bull bar, we've got all the ultravision lights set in there already. And then the 2 roof lights going on there as well. And high low beam set on these. So a bit of wiring to be done at the back end of this, but it should look pretty good. So now that you've seen the sort of decision-making process of how we put these builds together, let's have a little bit of a closer look at what we've done here. So reasons why I chose the F250, and a couple of really big reasons is, look, one, I've always loved one, I've always really wanted an F-Truck. 2, just towing the big vans. You've got the power, you've got the weight behind you, so you feel very stable and very comfortable on the road. Big canopy, lots of storage space. For a family, like I've got a family of 4, wife and 2 kids, and on those long distance touring, the kids, when they reach out, they just about can't touch each other, which means they can't muck up and hit each other. So they're very comfortable in the back. And then really little things like my wife, who is, 5'2" maybe, but driving it, there's a lot of adjustment in the seat, and then the electric pedals come forward as well. So she feels quite comfortable driving such a big vehicle. A great feature of the Fords, and in particular this 250, is the upfitter switches that they come factory with the car. So we've linked in the Red Vision system, the switches up the front here. So I can turn on all my side lights, spotties, rear lights, everything like that through these upfitter switches. And then I don't like to have any switches on my dash. I like it to all be in one spot and nice and neat and out of the way. So we ran out of space on the upfitter switches, and then we added in a little digital switch panel which has the aerial compressor and the airbags up and down on it. And then we've got the digital gauge as well, so you can see the pressure on the airbags, so you can adjust it from inside the car. We've also got the Safety Dave screen up the front here. Now that does a dual camera on the back of the canopy, one facing as a full-time rear view camera, so I can see what's behind me while I'm driving. A second one that faces directly down over the hitch, so I can easily hook up trailers. And then there's also a third input, which is the camera on the back of the caravan while you're towing. So on the front of this F250, we've gone with a stealth winch bar with a worn winch in the front and then ultra vision LED light bars across the front. Upgraded LED headlights from America. These give it a nice little look and have the daytime running light in it. We've sort of gone with a full blackout theme on this truck. So, you know, like blacking out the mirrors, the badges, all of that sort of stuff to give it a certain look. And then we've gone ahead and it's been to G&L Motors for the engine upgrade, transmission remap, and then also a set of diff gears. So that has made a huge difference to how this thing drives, especially because it's a lot heavier now with all the accessories we've put on it. And we'll get to the GVM side of it in a minute. But also with the 37-inch tyres. So they're a 37 by 12.5-inch tyre sitting on a method rim. They are a Maxxis Razor Muddy. And the thing drives so much better now with that extra power and the diff gears especially. It made just on 600 horse at the wheels with 1450 newton meters at all four wheels. So man, this thing absolutely hammers. But what's great is that torque when we're towing the big vans made this thing is an absolute pleasure to drive. The suspension in this thing, it originally had a 2-inch lift in it with some 3.0 Kings in it. We pulled all that out. I wanted to jack it up a little bit higher. I wasn't happy with how it was sitting, and we've ended up with a 5-inch lift sitting on a still Kings Remote Res Shocks. They're actually a coilover conversion that we've done in the front of this, which really improves the ride over the standard shock and coil setup that they come with. We've also upgraded the arms to some BDS Radius Arms and then the dual shock steering stabilisers in the front as well, just to help with the big tyres. Again, we just sort of blacked out everything, badges, mirrors, real dark tint on it. Now that it's so much higher, really had to go with the electric steps just to be able to get in comfortably. Up on the cab, we've got the Rhino rack, platform rack on there. We've gone with a couple of ultra vision LED bars, which are just ever so slightly faced out, just to give it a little bit more spread. We've got the ultra vision wrapped lights either side, and that's all controlled by the Red Vision system. And then we've got our aerials on the roof, so Self-I Go and also your UHF. Now, the thing I really like about that product there is they are on a little actuator, which is controlled from inside the cab. Look, usually we run the aerials down around town, but when we go away, you don't have to get out and manually do it. It's just a button. Where that's really come in handy, I've found, is if we're on a tight track, we were up at Fraser recently, with some really low overhanging branches, you can just drop the aerials down and don't have to get out and muck around. So that was a really nice bit of a luxury feature there. We've also got heaps of solar up there. So right up there, we've got about 800 watts sitting on the roof of solar, just pumping into that lithium battery in the canopy. And let's move around and we'll get into that. The canopy on this truck is one of our standard options for the American stuff. So this is a 2.25 metre long canopy, it's 2 metres wide, and this one is about 1 metre tall. So it is extremely big. But what we try and do is keep the rear tyres on the back. I like to run 2 spares for our long distance touring. We try to keep the rear spares sort of in line with our tow hitch, so we're not having too much overhang, and you can still get a good jackknife on your caravan when you're turning around. Now, pretty standard options on this particular canopy. We've got all our under tray toolboxes, nice tail light covers, our flared guards. These are adjustable depending on what size tyres you have. We have a sort of a larger offset than usual for these, so they're pumped out a little bit. And then our front toolboxes up here, fuel filler and water from the water tanks. I went with an 80 litre water tank underneath my canopy, with the under tray slide out drawer. Now, if you didn't want that extra drawer underneath, we can put a larger water tank. So something like 200 litres is pretty easy to put under these. which is fantastic because with the system that we've run, with the electrics and the water pump side of it, we can charge and send water and power back and forth from the van depending on whether you need more water here or there or more power here or there. So really good for when you're off-grid. In the front toolbox on this passenger side, I've gone with 2 ARB twin compressors. Now the reason I've done that is because pumping up 37-inch tyres takes a little bit longer. So the 2 compressors pumps air in quite fast. I've got a 15-metre air hose reel on the other side, and then that just goes and that reaches around the trailer and everything. This is all controlled by the Red Vision system and then also inside the cabin. So inside the canopy, there is so much space, and I really, for the way I like to camp and pack, I really enjoy just lots of drawer space and then a big open canopy that allows me to pack whatever I want, whether it's kid bikes or, you know, big heavy items. I've set it up also so that these drawer systems are individual. So depending on what trip I'm doing, I can quite easily remove one of these drawers, and that will give me full width at the back, you know, sort of that big if I'm putting something large in there for that particular adventure. Or I can also take this one out and have that whole rear space as open. 130 litre stand-up fridge. There's a drawer slide on the other side. We've got our slide-out kitchen. So as far as the electrics are concerned in the canopy, I wanted something that I really just did not have to worry about how much power I've got and how much charge I need to put in. So we're running a 400 amp hour lithium battery from Custom Lithium, 3000 watt red arc converter, the Red Vision management system, and then a 50 amp red arc DC-DC. So this will put in 80 amps from the engine while you're driving. It's got two 25 amp alternators under the bonnet to supply all that power, and it's all tucked away in between the fridge and the kitchen, so everything is in here. It's quite easily accessible if you need to get in and add anything or service it, but everything's at kind of a nice height. So your Red Vision screen's right at eye level, you've got your chargers, you've got your GPOs, it's the same on the other side, so you've got charging right through the canopy. I love the fact that I can go away and not worry about what the battery's doing. I can just leave it, I can enjoy the beer, not worry if the beers are going hot. So with 800 watts of solar on the roof and 80 amps coming in from the engine while you're charging, it's just great. I don't know how else to say it. I love it. We've got full insulation package on this canopy. It is a black canopy, so it does get hot, but we've got 10mm thick insulation with marine carpet right through it just to help keep it cool. We've got an EcoX soundbar and a subwoofer tucked away at the top there. I like to have little nooks and crannies where I can, you know, put my phone if it's on charge or cameras sort of thing. So we've got a nice little nook up here. But other than that, we try to keep everything really nice and tight. So between your kitchen, electrics, and your fridge, that's all your main components. And then you've just got space to pack all of your gear. With lots of lighting through this, so we've got the core 1 metre lights on the doors, inside the canopy, and then another set of downlights through the centre there, just to keep it really nice and bright for when you're packing, when you're camping. On this side of the canopy, I really wanted to keep it just really open. I love to be able to just pack bags in. I love it to be really neat when I go away, so I can just pack everything in quite organised. Really big drawers. Again, these are removable if you need them to be. Heaps of space in there. 40 litre Evercool fridge. I like to run this as a freezer when we go away, and then everything else in the fridge on the other side. More electrics up the front here, so I've got another Red Vision screen so I don't have to run around the other side if I want to check the system. GPOs, wireless charging for your electronics, light control, USBs, and then there's a 15-metre air hose reel tucked away in here, and then also an ice machine. Now I love a bourbon. Look at that, love it. So it's really important on the way that we build these vehicles to keep our weight in mind, so our GVMs, our GCMs. I've built this one to sort of exactly the spec that I like to camp and tour with. We do all sorts of different configurations to suit different people in different cars. The weight on this one as it sits is 4.2 tonnes. Now, on a normal car license, this would only be rated a 4495. We've upgraded it to a truck license. It is a 5.3 tonne GVM. So when I'm full of fuel, full of water, and full of passengers, I'm sitting at 4.6, just a tad over 4.6. So that still leaves me enough comfortably to pack what I want to pack and tow my caravan. You know, if you need more, you can go to something like a 350 and go with 5.8 ton GVM. But this is how this one sits here. And that's, you know, an honest opinion of what this vehicle is. I've tried to save weight on things like side steps. I've gone the electric ones rather than big steel ones. Full bar, or for a slimline bar rather than a big hooped one, it's saving a little bit of weight. Little things like that, just to help keep the weight down so that we're legal at the end of the day. So there you have it, guys. That is the new concept F250 with a bit of a detailed run through. Now, this is about as finished as it's going to get. I'm pretty sure we're going to keep doing things and upgrading this truck, but for the meantime, it's ready to go on our next R&D adventure, and we're pretty excited to go and get it out on the tracks.